Hi, and thanks for taking the time to watch our video. My name's Mark and I'm from BizPro. We're an MYOB Enterprise Platinum Partner, and today we're going to be taking you through a bit of an overview of the MYOB Job Costing module within the EXO Business suite of products. We're going to be looking at a fictitious company today called Motorparts, who is a wholesaler, distributor and installer of aftermarket car parts. And they're just a good example of a typical sort of business that may use the job costing module. And we'll be walking you through a full end-to-end process of starting a job, buying in parts, installing, tracking time, the whole lot. So you can see how that would actually work in EXO Business. To set the scene, for those that aren't aware, MYOB EXO Business is what's known as an ERP or Enterprise Resource Planning solution. It's software that's designed to run not only your accounts, but your entire business operations. And looking at the job costing module is a good way of seeing how that can really extend into the operational side of your business. We'll be looking at real functional things like entering time and tracking time against jobs, your purchasing process and how that can interact with the jobs and tag all your purchases against jobs so you can accurately track your budgeted versus actual costs. And then, of course, integration through to the invoicing side and seeing how that flows straight back into the accounting system because it's all part of one integrated package. Now let's jump into the software and have a look. So the screen we're looking at now is the EXO Business Core or Finance screen. This is the screen that you may be familiar with or looks familiar to you if you're a current MYOB user. You notice the command center layout with the icons across the top. Now we'll cover that in more detail later, but today of course we're going to have a look at the job costing module and have a look at the process of running through a job. You'll notice the same command center style, but of course everything's specific to a job. So today I'm going to be the operations manager and we're going to create and quote and book a job, etc. So we'll go through that process. We've got our task scheduler screen, so let's start there. And this is the screen that opens up when I first go into the program. And this is where I'll see all my alerts and reminders and things that I've created for myself or other people have assigned for me. I'm just going into a new screen here to show you an example of what's possible. We can choose a task or an appointment. We can specify what type it is. These are all editable lists, so you can create your own lists in here according to what's appropriate to your business. Put in a subject there, so call customer. We can link that directly to a customer card, so that's the difference between this and using Outlook. Here we're linking it to people in our database. Assign a contact, etc. I can link it directly to a specific job or an opportunity in our CRM, which I'll touch on later. And then we can assign that to one or more people within the business to action. Now, as well as doing this manually, we can, of course, create alerts automatically based on triggers within the system. So what I mean by that is, let's say we wanted to automatically email a customer when a job reaches a certain stage, or we wanted to alert a customer service user if an account is over their terms or anything like that. We can actually set those rules, and that's a big part of what BizPro do for you as part of the implementation process. We define those events and then we set the rules in the system to automate them. It can send automatic emails to your suppliers to chase them up when they haven't done the right thing. So there's lots and lots of ways that we can use that functionality, and we often do. If we go into our jobs area, you can see these are the different things that are available to me as a job costing user. I can manage my customers, suppliers and contacts. I can manage inventory depending on my permissions, and also serviceable units, which we're going to have a look at when we get to the job screen. I can put materials in, so directly enter materials against jobs if we're taking them out of stock. We can put in timesheets, so if you've got manual timesheets, or of course there are options for electronically capturing timesheets, and we'll come back to that in a second, and raising purchase orders. I'm just going to jump straight into the Plan Maintain Job screen, and we'll have a look at what we've got available here. So this is basically a big overview screen, or some people call it a register, of all jobs that are currently in progress. We've got a whole lot of information here about the jobs, and I can move and rearrange and resort these columns according to what I'm interested in, and I can filter it down. So if I want to see just the quotes, I can just click there and search and I'll see just the quotes, or if I'm in production I just want to see what's in progress, and you can see there it's just changing the filter based on the job status. I can do that based on its type, category, who's working on it, who put it in, etc. What we'll do now is actually put in a new job. So I'll click on the new button at the top and I just get a blank job screen. Quite straightforward. Now I'm just going to type in a new code, but that can be automatically generated as a sequential number if you prefer. And we'll give it a title. So what we're going to be doing in this job today, just to sort of put it in context, is we're going to be creating a job for a customer who's walked in and wants to have some parts fitted to their vehicle. So there's obviously going to be some parts involved. Some of them are going to be special order parts, so I need to raise a purchase order from our supplier to actually get them in. Some we'll take from stock. There'll be some labour involved. So we'll kind of demonstrate all the different aspects of a job all in one, and then of course we'll invoice it at the end. So we'll call this install parts to Commodore. We'll give it a status, so initially we're just going to quote them. We don't know if they're going to go ahead yet. We'll give that a job type, so it's just a minor job. We'll give it a category, it is domestic, but again these are all editable lists, so you can define what you need in the different statuses and types and categories. And then we'll find a customer, so I'm just going to use my search key there and I'll just pick say Daniel. We've then got some other areas here. Now I'll just point out the campaign wave and opportunity. So with some clients we come across, they may want to track their sales opportunity in more detail. So rather than putting the quote directly into job costing, we may start with the CRM module. And the CRM module, which we're not going to cover today, but just to explain what it does, it allows you to do the same thing as what we're going to do here. It's going to allow us to create a quote basically, but we can track that opportunity or quote through the sales process in much more detail. So we can put notes against it, we can follow up the customer, etc. And once we've won that job, we can convert it straight here into the job costing module, basically hand it over to production, to then go ahead and action the rest of the job. So what we're going to do now, we're just going to assume that we've already done that and we've converted into a job. I'm going to put some notes against it, so maybe please use genuine parts or whatever we want there. We've also got a separate notes area where we can put internal notes that the customer can't see potentially, and it only prints on the internal job sheet. And then very important for this sort of industry, we have an optional module here which is called serviceable units. So rather than just creating a general job, we can create an actual unit, which is the vehicle, and then track everything that's happened to it. So it's really useful in any sort of service industry, being the automotive service or say truck service, bus service, that sort of thing, where units are coming back to us on a regular basis for ongoing service repairs. But we can also use it in this case to track a one-off job, because potentially he could come back and want some more work done, and we've got all the history of this vehicle and every job that's ever happened to it in the one place. So what I'm going to do here is go and search the existing serviceable units, and we'll pretend that he's come to us before and this is just a repeat job for us. We're just adding some more parts. Now you can see the blue Holden Commodore there. I'm going to select that, and I could have searched by that, by registration number or by the description or the customer name, etc. Alright, so now my job is all set up and ready to go. I can then go into the quote budget tab and we'll start adding in some quote items. So let's say we're going to be fitting an alarm today, so I'll just select the right one, and then I'll go in and put another part. So let's say we're just changing a filter to a high performance filter, and there'll be some labour, and we're going to estimate 3 hours. Now we may or may not charge for the labour, that's up to you. So the idea of this quoting screen is that we can override the sell prices and even the costs to work out a price that's applicable. So if we think that these are actually on sale at the moment and we can get them at a better price, I can override my estimated cost. And of course, as we proceed with the job and raise actual purchase orders, etc., those costs will be replaced with actual cost, and then we can see how do we actually go versus what we thought we were going to do on the job. We can override the selling prices, so if we got that cheaper, we might going to give them a better price on it, etc. Alright, so I've got my quote there. I might just save that, and we can print the quote from here. So if I go into print quotation, you can see that pops up and it drags through all the details from the quote screen behind, and we can customize this to suit your requirements. So typically, again, as part of the implementation, we will change these forms to suit what you need and how you want them to look, and we can grab details from anywhere in the database, anything that we're recording, including any special extra fields that we add for you. Alright, so that's now quoted, and let's jump ahead in time and assume that the customer's come back and they've given us an order number, and we're going to actually go ahead with this job. So I'll move it to scheduled status, and I'll save that, and we're ready to continue on. So the next step here, because one of these is a special order part, what I'm going to do is actually change that to a P for purchase. And then if we have a look here, you can see it's already picked up the supplier that we normally buy that part from, but I could change that if I wanted to order it from someone else this time. I can then go ahead and raise purchase orders, generate purchase orders, and you can see it's automatically created the purchase order for me against that supplier, linked to the job, and I can simply save that, and we're done. So I can print that, or of course I can email it directly to the supplier. If we go into our purchases tab on the job, we've got a screen where we can easily monitor all purchasing relating to this job. So you can see down the bottom here, the alarm 05 is ordered awaiting delivery, and that'll make its way up the chain as we receive it in and receive the invoice from the supplier, etc. Alright, so I'm just going to jump out of there for now. So let's pretend while we're waiting for that part to come in, to be later this afternoon, we're going to do some work on the car and change the filter over for now because we've got some spare time. So I'll jump out of this screen and go directly to my time entry screen and put in a timesheet. So obviously we're jumping in time again. We've already done the work. So I'd put in my job code, put in the staff that worked on it, and then the hours. So it took 2.5. So we're going to jump ahead, and we've already done the work, and now we're just going to put those timesheets in. So I'm going to go to direct time entry, put in the job code, put in the staff name, labour code, and the hours. If I save that, that's my timesheet gone in. So if you imagine you've got your manual timesheets every day within the workshop, you can just key them straight into here. But of course we've got other options available for tracking time against jobs. We've got electronic capture screens where you can scan on and off jobs and it will automatically measure and record the time in. We can import in from other sources, so there's lots of options available. I might use my direct material entry screen to also put some parts in against the job. So if we're grabbing parts from the shelf and we're going to use them on the job, we can just key them straight in from here. And we're just going to grab that the filter off the shelf because we already had it available, and save that. Alright, done. So now if we go back to our plan maintain jobs, and we can see what's happened to the job. Alright, there's our job there. And if we go into the timesheets tab, you can see that the timesheet for labour at 2.5 hours has come in and it's now forming a cost against the job. And if we go into cost, you can see that that air filter that we've grabbed off the shelf has gone into the cost tab and is now forming a cost against the job. The security alarm is still on order though, so we can't actually finish the job yet. So what I might do now, save and exit from here, and we'll go back to the main screen and bring up that purchase order and actually receipt it into stock. So there's the purchase order that we created earlier, and I'm simply going to go into the receipt option and I'll just do a quick receipt all. We'll check the cost against the invoice, that all looks good, and then I'll process that. Pop in the invoice number from the supplier. Alright, and there's my confirmation. and we're good to go. So now if we go back to our job, we should see that we've received all the stock in, we've used the correct parts, timesheet's gone in, and we should be ready to now invoice the job out. So let's have a look here, and we've now got both costs. So of course the purchases come in, and that's automatically added into there. If we have a quick look at the analysis screen, we can see how the job is tracking. So you'll notice first of all in the graph here, it's really easy to see. You've got the blue column, which is what our quoted or budgeted cost was, and then the orange column there, which is the actual, and you can see we're just under. And the reason for that, of course, is because we budgeted 3 hours of time, but we only put in 2.5. So we're a little bit ahead on this job. We did it faster than we thought. And then our actual charge out time, according to this, if this was a due and charge job, is actually going to be slightly less because we're going to charge them for less hours. But of course, if you're a fixed quote type business, then that wouldn't be applicable. You just invoice X quote. And we do have all those options available back here in our billing mode. You can invoice X quote, charge up. We have a manufacturing process, and we also support a full progress invoicing method where we can set up milestones and create pro forma invoices and then release them at different stages. So obviously that's for a much more complex job cycle. Alright, so now what we'll do is we'll send all those to Invoice, and from our timesheet we'll send all those to Invoice, and if we go into our invoice screen you can see that all the lines have appeared here ready to charge the customer. This is of course a charge up job, so you'd see every individual line. And to create the invoice from here, I just click on Invoice Job, and the system will automatically generate the debtor invoice for me, link to the job, so all I have to do is save it, and away we go. Now depending on your process, this can be done as a batch process, so if you've got different departments that do different things, you can have the service department, for example, just getting things ready to invoice, and then the accounts department can go in and do a batch process at the end of the day to do all the actual invoicing itself. And it's just a quick, easy process because all the work's been done, all the parts and prices have all been put in, but they could double check it, for example. So I've marked that job as finished, and now we're done and ready to go. So if I close out of here now, I'll just show you a couple of other quick features. If we go to our dashboard, this is a couple of examples that I've set up, but there is a full dashboarding and very advanced reporting capability within EXO Business. A couple of examples here are my job alerts widget. The job alerts widget will show you any jobs where the quote is expired, we've exceeded it, we're over budget, or it's overdue according to the due date. And you can see we've got a lot of red dots here, so we're not doing too well. Someone's going to get in trouble. Over on the jobs nearing completion, I can see my top 10 or 20 jobs that are approaching their due date. We can set different parameters and criteria on there. We also have a drill down feature, so if we want to see what's going on with this job, I can click and it'll go straight to the job, and then I can get further information. I can check history notes, someone might have left some notes against the job, etc. So it's really easy to navigate around. Now these can be completely customized, so you're not stuck to the predefined widgets that are already in there. There are quite a few standard ones, but of course we can customize them. They're all built in the Clarity Report Designer, which comes with the software, and if you have the skills you can do that yourself, or of course BizPro as a partner can create these widgets for you based on your business KPIs. So they can be set to refresh every 5 minutes, 10 minutes, hour, and display important up-to-the-minute information as required. Also, a feature that's been introduced by MYOB, which is really great, is this education centre right throughout the system. Gives you easy access to help files, release notes for different versions, all the user guides, industry-specific white papers, and new educational videos similar to this one, but obviously much more in depth, that you can use to assist yourself and your staff with training and ongoing support of the system. And then of course we're available as well with our full-time help desk to assist where required. Well, that brings us to the end of the process. So just to recap, we went through an overview of the job costing module. We had a look at our task scheduler and how that can be used to automate and manually create alerts and reminders. we had a look at our job overview screen and went through a full end-to-end process of quoting a job, converting it to a one job, raising purchase orders, putting in timesheets and materials, and then invoicing it out the other end. And then we had a look at some example dashboards and some analysis screens to see how that job is tracking. Well, thank you for watching, and please stay tuned for more videos coming from FisPro soon.